Good morning. How is everyone? I hope you're having an amazing Wednesday. It's been an interesting morning already. Today, our topic is mental clutter. I've had several posts about it because I did a couple of talks, one on Saturday and another one on last night, actually. And it may seem like an odd topic when I talk about leadership and I talk about toxic rock stars, or I talk about now my focus is really, I want to help women who have been seen as, who've been given the feedback that they're too aggressive or too much or too assertive, too emotional, to really be in their power, in their own authentic self without being overpowering. And it may seem odd that I'm talking about clutter at the same time in all of this. It's very much related, because mental clutter, which is what I want to talk about today, there's actually 5 different types of clutter: mental, emotional, energetic, relational, and then what we normally think of as physical clutter, things that are cluttering our space. Like maybe that bag at the bottom of the, maybe that doesn't need to be there. I don't really use it much anymore because the handle's starting to break. But I want to talk about mental clutter. And I'm first going to ask some questions. So if you're live listening, you might want to take some notes. If you listen to this and you'd like the full assessment of all the different 5 types of clutter, or even just the mental clutter assessment, DM me and I will send you the handout that I created for the talks that I gave. And I'm actually going to do a series. I think I'm going to do a longer series where I will have every week we'll talk about a different type of clutter and the different types of ways to release clutter, because as a leader, mental clutter is what takes us out of alignment with who we want to be as a leader, with who you are as your authentic self, and being in your authenticity, being who you want to be, being what you want to do intentionally as a leader. Mental clutter takes you off track. So let's first talk about the assessment. Here's just a few things. If any of these resonate at all in any way, you got some mental clutter going on. So think of these. I'll just read them, and I'll try to read them slowly. I have difficulty quieting my mind. There's your sign. I struggle against life. I spend a lot of time thinking about the past or worrying about the future. I judge myself or others harshly. And I think I wrote that wrong in my post about this. I might have to go fix that. I don't know if I can. I hold on to beliefs that might not be true. I know someone who, in their divorce, their ex made all sorts of comments about what a horrible parent this person is. And this person started to believe it. And I've witnessed their parenting, and they are an amazing parent. They've been, I was going to say they bend over backwards, but that's not necessarily the best attribute of a parent. They do all sorts of things to make sure that their children are healthy and have great experiences and all sorts of things. So, that's a whole nother situation. But they are holding on to the belief that they're not a great parent. And I know they are. I witnessed them being an excellent parent. And I'm going to turn my phone on Do Not Disturb here so no more calls come through. The words so here's another part of the assessment. So it was, I have difficulty quieting my mind. I struggle against life. I spend a lot of time thinking about the past or worrying about the future. I judge myself or others harshly. I hold on to beliefs that might not be true. The words I use and the stories I tell support my false self. I haven't really talked about that yet, so that might seem a little weird. And I think most people can kind of get that. What is your authentic self and what is your false self? And we'll talk about that actually in a minute. Or I've lost touch with my intuition, or I don't heed it. So those are parts of the assessment. If any of those ring true at all, in any way, shape, or form, you got some mental clutter going on there, girl, or guy, or non-binary person. So all clutter in our life, energetic clutter, emotional clutter, relationship clutter, physical clutter in our space, starts with mental clutter. We are bombarded with 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. Many of them are unconscious. We don't even realize that they're happening. We don't really know we don't think about all the thoughts that we're having, but we're bombarded with all of those. And many of them are rooted in scarcity, in lack, in self-preservation. Many of these thoughts are judgmental. They are trying to separate us. When we judge others, that's a way of separating us from that other person. Like, I'm not that. I don't like that, and I am not that. So we're kind of separating ourselves. And yet, that part of us wants to belong. We are desperate to belong. And this is all part of, there's two parts of us. When we have clutter, mental clutter, any kind of clutter, there is a part of us that is at the wheel of our life, and that's our ego. And when the ego is at the wheel, the ego is fear-based. The ego focuses on possessions. The ego is concerned with self-preservation, conflict, insecurity, lack, loneliness. The ego judges. The ego is desperate to belong. The ego withholds love, is dissatisfied, needs to be right, competes. It hypnotizes us into thinking, I am not enough, you are not enough, there is not enough. And the ego is necessary. It is what creates our sense of self. And it's what helps us to, figure out what do we present to the world. And it is that part of our brain that didn't evolve. It's there to keep us safe. It has a job. We don't want to kick the ego out and not, the ego isn't bad. The ego has a place, and we have to be aware. And we'll talk about that in a minute. We have to be aware of what is happening with the ego and what that ego is trying to do. We do not want the ego at the wheel. You want that ego in the passenger seat. You don't have to kick it out of the car and leave it down the road, speed away and leave it down the, back on the road. That's not it. You need that part of you. You want to see what is that ego trying to keep you safe from. The whole job of the ego is to keep you safe, to keep you alive, to help you survive, to help you be successful. And because it's fear-based, because it's rooted in self-preservation and lack and scarcity, it creates a very low vibration, and that's a whole nother type of energetic clutter, but it creates all sorts of mental clutter. So what are some examples? Oh, let me just, before we go into the examples of mental clutter, who else could be at the wheel? If our ego isn't at the wheel, who else is at the wheel? Our soul. And whatever you believe about, your religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs or no beliefs, we have a soul. And that soul is our true nature. You could call it your true nature. It's who you came into this world as, your gifts, your talents, your true nature. And when the soul is at the wheel, the soul is focused on love, acceptance, worthy, that you are worthy. Without doing anything, you are worthy. The soul extends love instead of withholds love. The soul is content. The soul cooperates. The soul surrenders. It knows that we're never alone. It knows nothing is permanent. It knows that we are all connected. And that's a whole part of the energy. We're all energy. We're all connected. The soul recognizes itself. The soul recognizes its true nature. And so the soul loves anything that affirms who we really are, that we're worthy, that we're secure, that we're successful. And the mantra of the soul is, I am enough, you are enough, and there is enough. So why am I talking about this? Why is this important for leaders? Why is this important as, even anyone in an organization? When we have mental clutter, here's a few examples. When you're thinking about what other people think, your ego is at the wheel. And that ego, again, lack, scarcity. You're not thinking you don't have as much mental capacity, access to your prefrontal cortex to think about and be creative and plan and do all of the things that you need to do to be successful in your career and to be successful as a leader. If you're ruminating over a comment that you made or feedback that you received, the ego keeps us in the past or worries about the future. So keeping us in the past. If we continue to ruminate, oh my gosh, why did I say that? Or why did they give me that feedback? I don't understand. Or, why did I do that? If we beat ourselves up, if we judge ourselves, that's all ego at the wheel. And it gives us less access to the prefrontal cortex of our brain, the creative planning center of our brain. So being the best leader we can be is harder when we have this mental clutter. Or let's say, this is one that I had a lot, and I still sometimes have it, that when somebody that we're working with or for says, hey, can you set up some time so that, there's something I need to talk to you about? And your brain immediately goes to, oh shit, I'm in trouble. What did I do now? I effed up somewhere. That is ruminating about the future, worrying about the future, instead of saying, oh, they want a meeting. Okay, let's get that on the calendar. So I want to give you just a couple of strategies before I end here. And if you want more, DM me or click the link in the notes, and you can sign up to get a free guide that goes through a couple different ways to get rid of mental clutter. And I actually will be putting together shortly a series on all of the different types of clutter. So one of the things that you can do, so there's 7 different things that are going to help you release mental clutter. The first one is to become present, is to really just become present and to notice like where you are in present time and really kind of ground yourself in where you're at in present time. If you can and becoming present isn't getting rid of all your thoughts. It isn't fighting your thoughts, like trying to get rid of the thoughts. It is just getting yourself in present time. The ego is past or future. The soul is in present time. And so think of a situation where your mind was reeling. Maybe you were in an argument or whatever, and you might have told a friend about it. Oh man, this happened. And they're like, man, just let it go. And you're like, well, how am I supposed to do that? Part of it is is just being present right now, really tuning into your senses. What do I see? I see a picture of a tree. I see a mug. I see an angel. I see a trophy elephant situation going on over there. I see a picture of notice what you see. What do you feel? What type of clothing are you wearing? How does it feel against your skin? What are you smelling? I have coffee here, some decaf coffee. What are you tasting? I still taste the coffee in my mouth. Tune into all of your senses. That gets you present, and that will help you to put that ego in the passenger seat, not in the trunk, not off on the side of the road, in the passenger seat. And when we become present, we allow ourselves to do two things. One is we can become the witness. We can notice what our ego brain is trying to do, what it is keeping us safe, trying to keep us safe from. And we can be compassionate, and we can be the witness, and we can be understanding instead of being judgmental. We create a space. So once we're able to be that witness, we can inhabit the space of choice. We can notice, oh man, I'm really worried about what might be on that thing. I can sit here and worry about that meeting that my boss asked me to set up, or I can make a choice to stop worrying and just set up the meeting and have the meeting, and it'll be what it will be. Or even ask, is there anything, what in particular did you want to talk about? So if there's anything I need to prepare, you have a choice. Giving yourself, becoming present, becoming the witness. So being present is the first thing, being the witness is the second thing, and then inhabiting that space of choice. Giving yourself that space to make a choice. Do I want to entertain my ego in the passenger seat, or am I going to reaffirm and realign in my soul being, my true nature, who I really am, my unique energetic blueprint, my unique self? So we can consciously choose different thoughts at that point even. So for example, if it's about this future meeting with my boss, they want, there's something they want to share with me. Very neutral. There's something they want to share with me. Instead of ruminating on, oh my God, it's bad, I'm in trouble. We can choose a different thought at that point. There's a couple more, and I'm going to skip over a couple because I don't want to go too long on this, but one that I love on this one is watch your words. Okay, watch your mouth. And when the stories that we tell ourselves and the things that are in our brain, the words that we use and the stories we tell are clues to your mental clutter. When you use words like, I have to, I should, I'm confused, I don't know, I hate, I'm afraid, whatever, those are all ego-based. Those are all ones that are stories and words that are going to create mental clutter. One of the things that you can do is experiment with some different words, some different choices. Yes. Even just yes. Words that tune you into your true nature. Awesome. I am grateful for. I love. I appreciate. I am excited to. I trust. I can. I know. This is practice. Part of this is just practicing 10%, allow yourself 10% more. Be 10% more present. Be the witness of what's happening 10% more. And some of the new themes that you could include as this part of watching your mouth is, I am whole. I am a creator. I have plenty. I care for myself. I am worthy as I am. I trust myself and my knowing. So practice speaking only things that flow from that true nature of yourself. I'm going to wrap up now. So if you'd like a handout that has an assessment about the different types of clutter and has some activities to be able to release mental clutter, and if you're interested in the series that I'll be doing probably come January, I won't start it yet, I don't think this year. We'll see, maybe I will. Because, maybe some people want to start decluttering after the holidays when they do their cleanup after the holidays. I just want to also say before I close is I am really focused. My leadership coaching is really going to be focused around helping those women who are seen as too much, too aggressive, too ambitious, too outspoken, because that was me. I got a lot of that feedback. I haven't perfected it. There's still sometimes that my ego gets into the driver's seat. And there are, and it isn't just about this, the ego, there's a lot of different ways that I coach women. I help these women show up powerfully, bringing their true nature and finding that right balance between being powerful without being overpowering. So if you're interested, DM me, click the link below, and we'll set up a time to chat. And also let me know if you're interested in the handouts that I have from the talks that I just gave. That'll give you some more information about mental clutter, and that also give you some information about activities you can do to release mental clutter. Have a great rest of your Wednesday and have a great weekend.